My best friend of 6 years was sleeping with my boyfriend. I found out from a voice note she accidentally sent me. I said nothing for 3 weeks. Then I took her seat at my cousin's wedding and her spot on our Japan trip and ended it in front of everyone at dinner. I'm going to need you to understand something before I start. Becca was not just my best friend. Becca was my person, my emergency contact, the one I called at 2 a.m. when my dad got his diagnosis. The one who sat on my bathroom floor with me for 3 hours when I had my first panic attack at 22. The one who was supposed to be my maid of honor. I say was, past tense, keep that in mind. It started, or I guess it ended, on a Tuesday. Completely normal Tuesday. I was at work, half dead on my third coffee when my phone buzzed. Voice note from Becca, which was normal. Becca sends voice notes constantly. She types like she's wearing oven mitts. Voice notes are basically her primary language. I pressed play. And I want you to understand that what came out of my phone, at full volume, in an open-plan office, was not a message meant for me. It was 37 seconds long. I know it was 37 seconds, because I have listened to it 43 times since then, and the timestamp does not change. I'm not going to tell you exactly what she said. What I will tell you is that she used his name. My boyfriend's name. His actual name, Jamie, not a nickname, not an initial, his full name, in a context that made it completely and utterly impossible to misunderstand what was happening. She also said, and I am quoting directly because these words are now tattooed on the inside of my skull forever. He said you've been distant lately anyway. He said I'd been distant. He had been discussing me with her. They had been lying in whatever bed they were lying in and talking about me like I was a problem they were managing together. I sat very still at my desk for about 90 seconds. Then I got up, walked to the bathroom, locked the cubicle door, sat on the closed toilet lid, and did not move for 25 minutes. My colleague knocked on the door at minute 20 to ask if I was okay. I said yes. I was not okay. I was doing calculations. Specifically, I was trying to figure out how long this had been going on, because my brain, which had apparently decided that this was a maths problem and not an emotional catastrophe, would not let me do anything else until I had a number. Here is what I knew. Jamie and I had been together for 2 years and 4 months. Becca had met him on our third date. She showed up to the restaurant because she'd forgotten we'd made plans, and I'd made the catastrophic mistake of texting her the location. She and Jamie had gotten along immediately. Too immediately, I now understand. They'd done this bit where they ganged up on me about my terrible taste in films, and I'd sat there thinking, oh, how nice, my boyfriend and my best friend like each other. Oh, how nice. I started going back through things. I'm a very organized person. I keep a journal. I have done since I was 15. I went back through 6 months of entries that night. Jamie was working late. Becca was busy, which in hindsight is the funniest possible sentence I could write, and I found 14 occasions where one of them had canceled on me and the other one had been conveniently unavailable on the same day. 14. And I had noticed none of it. Not one. Because I trusted them. Because the idea of the two people I loved most in the world doing this to me was so far outside my brain's threat assessment range that it had never even registered as a possibility. I want to pause here and tell you about the voice note, because I haven't finished with the voice note. After I got home that night, Jamie was there, making pasta, acting completely normal, kissed me on the cheek, asked about my day, and I smiled and said fine because I needed more time. I listened to it again with headphones in. There was something in the background. Very faint, under her voice. A sound I recognized but couldn't place for about 4 listens. On the 5th listen, I got it. It was the specific creak of the 3rd stair in Becca's apartment building. The one that every single person who has ever visited her knows about, the one she has been meaning to report to the landlord for 3 years, the one that sounds like a dying animal every time you step on it. I had been to that apartment approximately 300 times. I knew that creak the way I knew my own voice. Which meant that the voice note was not sent from some hotel room or secret location. It was sent from her apartment, the apartment where I had a spare key. The apartment I had been to 2 Sundays ago to help her repot her plants because she said her back was hurting. Her back was hurting. I put my phone down on the kitchen counter very gently. Jamie looked over and asked if I was all right. I said I was tired. He said I should eat something. I sat down and ate the pasta he had made me, and I looked at him across the table and I thought, you have no idea what is coming. Here is what I did not do. I did not cry. I did not confront him. I did not reply to Becca's follow-up message, which arrived 40 minutes after the voice note and said, OMG, sorry, wrong person. Meant to send that to my cousin Lol? Her cousin, she said. I did not reply. I did not acknowledge it. I left it on read, and I watched the 3 dots appear and disappear 4 times as she tried to figure out what to say next. And I felt something shift in me that I don't have a clean word for. It wasn't anger exactly. It was colder than anger. It was more like clarity. I need you to understand that Becca had been my emergency contact for 6 years. I need you to understand that when Jamie's mom had asked to meet me after 3 months of dating, Becca had spent 2 hours on the phone with me the night before, coaching me on what to say. I need you to understand that I had been to her mother's funeral, that I had given a reading, that I had held her hand in the front pew and felt her shaking. I need you to understand all of that so you understand what I did next. I did nothing. For 3 weeks, I did absolutely nothing. I went to work. I came home. I had dinner with Jamie 4 nights out of 7. I replied to Becca's messages normally, or what I calculated to be normally, not too warm, not cold enough to tip her off, just the ordinary texture of our friendship as it had been, except that I was now watching it from the outside like a scientist watching a specimen under glass. I was looking for confirmation, not because I needed it. I had the voice note, but because I wanted it to be undeniable. I wanted there to be no version of events in which either of them could look me in the eye and say I had it wrong. On day 19, Jamie left his laptop open on the kitchen table, which he never does. He is annoyingly careful with his laptop, always closes it, always takes it to the bedroom, and I had a thought, briefly, that this might be a test, some paranoid corner of his brain checking whether I would look. But Jamie is not that sophisticated. Jamie left his laptop open because he went to take a call and forgot it was there. I looked. 15 months. I found messages going back 15 months. Starting 2 months after Becca had met him at that restaurant. Starting, if I am doing the timeline correctly, approximately 6 weeks after she had come to my flat and sat on my sofa and told me, unprompted, that she thought Jamie was a really good one and I should hold on to him. She had said that, to my face, on my sofa, while apparently already sleeping with him. I closed the laptop, exactly as I had found it. I went into the bedroom and I sat on the edge of the bed and I breathed very carefully for a while. Then I called my sister. My sister is 4 years older than me and she has never liked Becca. For the entire duration of our friendship, my sister has maintained, with no particular evidence and enormous conviction, that Becca is a bad person who will eventually prove it. I have spent years defending Becca to my sister. Years. I have had actual arguments about this. I said, you were right. She did not say I told you so, she just said, what do you need? I told her everything, she listened. At the end she said, what do you want to do? And here is the thing, here is the actual thing. I didn't want to scream at them. I didn't want to throw things or show up at Becca's door or forward the voice note to everyone we knew, though I considered all of these options, some of them more than once. What I wanted was for them to lose something. What I wanted was for this to cost them. Jamie and I had been planning a holiday. 2 weeks in Japan, booked for April, flights and hotels already paid. His name, my card, I had the booking reference. The following morning I called the airline and I canceled his seat. I rebooked it in my sister's name, non-refundable. Becca was supposed to be coming to my cousin's wedding in June as my +1. I called my cousin and told her there had been a falling out and asked if I could bring my sister instead. My cousin said of course. My cousin also, because she is who she is, asked no further questions but sent me a bottle of wine that arrived 2 days later with a note that just said, noted. And then I waited for the right moment. It came on a Saturday. We had a group, me, Jamie, Becca, and 4 other people we'd all known since university. We had a standing dinner, first Saturday of the month, rotating houses. That month it was at our friend Dom's place. Jamie and I arrived together. Becca was already there when we walked in, and I watched her face when she saw me, the half second of something that crossed it before she arranged it back into normal, and I smiled at her, genuinely smiled, and hugged her. And she hugged me back, and I felt her exhale with relief against my shoulder. She thought she'd gotten away with it. We sat down to dinner. 7 people around Dom's table. Wine open, food on the way, everyone talking. Normal, completely normal. And then Dom asked about the Japan trip because Dom is planning his own trip and wanted recommendations. Jamie started talking about it, what we were planning to see, where we were staying. Present tense, still thinking he was going. I let him finish. Then I said, very casually, that actually Jamie wasn't coming on the trip anymore. I said there had been a change of plans. I said my sister was coming instead. Jamie looked at me. I looked back at him. The table went a bit quiet. Dom made a joke about siblings' holidays, and I said, still very casually, that it had just seemed like the right time for a change, given everything that had come out recently. And I looked at Becca when I said it. Just for a second, just long enough. Her face did the thing again, the half-second thing, and this time it didn't fully go back to normal. Jamie put his fork down. He said my name, the way you say someone's name when you are asking a question without asking it. I picked up my wine glass. I said, I think you know what I'm talking about. The table was very quiet. Dom, bless him, tried to change the subject. Someone else reached for the bread, and I let them. I let the conversation move on because I didn't need to make a scene. I didn't need to list the evidence or play the voice note or say any of the specific things I had been storing up for 15 months of their betrayal. I just needed them to know that I knew, in front of everyone, with no room to deny it or manage it or spin it into something else. I left at 9:30, said I was tired, hugged Dom, hugged the others, did not hug Becca, did not look at Jamie. He called me 6 times on the walk home. I let it ring out every time. He was not there when I got back. I don't know where he went. I had already, that afternoon, moved his things into boxes and left them in the hallway. Not dramatically, just practically. 2 boxes. His stuff fits into 2 boxes, which tells you something about how much of himself he had actually brought into our life together. Becca texted at 11:15. The message was long. I didn't read it. I archived the conversation and I have not opened it since. My sister and I are going to Japan in April. We've already looked up the best ramen place in Tokyo and a cat cafe in Kyoto that requires advance booking. I booked it this morning. 2 spots, no cancellations.